Hi everybody and welcome to The Money Man. Got with me Oliver Keohane, who's taken on the mantle of the Money Boy. Welcome, Ollie.
Thanks, Kev.
As you know, we've decided to give Ollie 50,000 Rand, 8 betting companies, and said, tell us what your experience is like. The reason we've done that is because it's I've been in the know for gambling for many, many years. And it'd be silly for me to do it. We thought, well, let's get Ollie to do it from a complete newbie. He'd never placed a bet before. And he can explain everything in terms of the nuances of how to open up betting accounts, the problems he's had, the frustrations, which ones are the best. And we will sum all these up, but let's just remind me again of the 8 companies that we've given you money to put into.
We've got Sporting Bet, Betway, Player Bets, Sports Pazer, World Sports Betting, Hollywood Bets, and Sunbet.
Okay. And just how long how many bets have you made? Just roughly.
Roughly just over 10, but a few accumulators there that were tempting. They haven't paid off too well, but
they rarely do.
Yeah, I mean they've been close, but yeah, not quite. But yeah, probably
close only counts in hand grenades.
Fair enough. Yeah, or Uruguay, Fiji.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about the experience. What's it been like learning how to? Because I haven't taught you anything about gambling yet.
Yeah, no.
I haven't given you any.
I think you said don't follow any of your advice. Make it more organic.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been interesting because it's quite a daunting, like the interface itself. Like you open the website and it's just like numbers, like all these different sports, kind of adverts, everything sort of everywhere. But it's actually like you sort of start to like iron it out and realize it's quite simple. You know, you choose the kind of way you're going to bet, like whether it's a handicap, over, under. And yeah, I think like I've started very simply, like just placing very kind of small amounts of money and getting a feel for it and everything. Yeah, and it's been enjoyable. Like I've seen also that it can be tempting, like they do sort of like rope you in with like, okay, you can boost your bet if you choose one with odds of like 1.4 and or 1.2, you know, and like if you just place like 10 Rand more or something, and then it seems like you're not placing a lot, but you place like 50 Rand on 4 different things, ends up being $200 that you actually didn't account for in the first place. So I think, yeah, that's probably the one thing I've learned so far is to just like stick to your bet, kind of place it, and rather make a few slightly more conservative ones than get carried away on one that they've boosted up.
And out of all the money we've given you, how much bonus did you get on top of that?
It depends on the site. So a few of the websites still haven't actually given me my deposit bonus. I'm still emailing them and calling them. Yeah. Biggest bonus.
Who are those companies? Let's point them out, Ollie.
Yeah, I can't tell you off the top of my head. I know the ones that have Sporting Bet.
Is that millennial preparation that you put into
it? Looks like it. I know the biggest bonus has been World Sporting Bet. I did have to call them to get it out of them.
Yeah, but I think they paid it, right?
But they paid it, yeah.
And that was a match for match bonus.
That was a match for match, yeah. So they gave me 5,000 Rand on initial deposit of 5,000 Rand. Sporting Bet gave me 2 grand because they would match up to 125%. But up to 2,000 Rand. So if you're depositing anything over than that, then not gonna match it. Betway, 1,000 Rand, same thing. They'll match it, but only up to 1,000 Rand. And I think the same with Player Bets, but I haven't actually bet on any of the other ones yet at the moment. The only ones I've placed, and I've placed one bet on Sunbet for $200 for the box to win the World Cup, just because they gave me a nice boost of 1 to 5.
Okay. Yeah. I think there was even I can't remember, I was hearing great marketing gimmick, that if the box won the World Cup, you'd get your TV free. Who was that? There was
Samsung, I think.
Samsung.
Yeah, 15,000 Rand TV.
Can you imagine if but people wonder how they could possibly do it if South Africa wins. Well, it's simple. All they're doing is giving people a 15% discount because they would have insured that and just bet that South Africa would win the World Cup at 9-2. And and lo and behold, that's the.
How many TVs do you think they sold?
Oh, because of it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great marketing campaign. You know, it's you don't always have to be innovative in technology as a company to do something that's unique and a great experience for people.
Yeah.
there's a great sense of euphoria in South Africa right now with the box, even after the All Black game.
Yeah, there is a sort of like energy about it that's not quite the same. Like even after the defeat.
I hate to say, I know a lot of people hate talking about the race thing, but I think that's one of the reasons is this team is more inclusive than other teams. So I think that you've got a lot more people talking about it, and a lot more people buying into it. So I've said to you, you've got to play on these things for a month, these sites, all these sites, so that you can, even the ones you don't like.
Just to give them a fair
to give them a fair slog.
Yeah.
And so we can be honest with people and just say, yes, this is what this guy, we're going to rank them. And then we said that we were going to move the five worst performing and then award a gold, silver, bronze, the top 3 sites in the country. And we're going to play on those sites all the time because you also need other options because the odds aren't always the same on each site.
Yeah, that's true. I did notice that as well now. Like the more that I've been playing on, you realize like they actually do offer certain better odds. Some don't actually offer like certain games and stuff too, or they're a lot harder to find. It's weird to just see the sort of like just little differences of the way things are laid out and everything just makes like certain sites like a lot more user friendly than other ones. Only 4 of them, I've mentioned this before, but only 4 of the websites actually have apps, and Sunbet only just released their app. It was like 2 or 3 days ago for iOS. Which is interesting because you would think betting something that's quite like on the go, it's very, it's a daily sort of like hourly thing. There's stuff happening all the time. You want to be able to do it from your phone.
Yeah, I think that's
not log in.
But I think that's one of the problems, Ollie, is the technology to be able to match people's desire to bet, because the sport changes so quickly that there's a lot of frustrations if you're looking to bet on live sport. Something changes that shuts down the market, so people don't abuse it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there is some frustration. I don't play on apps. That's probably why. Well, that's exactly why I wanted you to do this and not me, because I am on my Mac all the time, and that's it. That's all I use. And if I use my cell phone, I'll scroll down to the full sites because I'm a creature of habit.
Okay.
And I don't need to be experimenting and learning new websites as I'm making bets, because that's also a way to make mistakes.
That's true. Yeah.
So what frustrations have you experienced with, if any, in gambling so far?
Sort of the process of setup or the actual gambling itself?
You've opened an account with every company. Now, this doesn't mean that they're the best company, but tell us who were the easiest ones to open the accounts with, because that's the biggest question I get. How do I do this?
Yeah.
How do I,
I didn't actually struggle with any of them. I thought there were ones you could actually just find amongst like all of the adverts and all of the text on the websites, the little like Fika part. It was a fairly simple process. The one thing that I would suggest is just having like your ID copied on both sides and certified, rather than just having to take pictures, because a few of the websites would only let you upload one file. So they wouldn't let you upload both sides of your ID. So you'd have to then like call the helpline, they give you an email address, and then you email them a picture of both sides of your ID. Whereas if you've just got like a copy of both sides on one page, you can upload that straight away.
That sounds complicated.
What, doing the whole email?
Could there be a simpler way of faking? I mean, it just sounds like, usually in a world, everything's supposed to get easy, be easier to transact and stuff like that. Whereas gambling, it seems to have gotten a lot more difficult.
Yeah, the verification process seems a lot more like archaic.
You can have 15 children with no money and be the worst parent in the world, but woe betide the man that opens an account without a FICA.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's also like it's proof of residency that has to be stamped. Like I had bank statements, has to be stamped by the bank, not by the ATM that prints the stamps off. So that was one of the other problems, was like actually going into the bank, getting the thing physically stamped, not machine stamped. But yeah, I mean, it's just the proof of residence and an ID document that you need, but it just comes in with both sides of the ID. Some don't offer just in terms of uploading the files, or the file will be too big, something like that. So it's stupid little frustrations that actually block the way. But I think like what I realized like quite early on was you shouldn't be afraid of just calling the helpline. You're not going to be put on hold for very long, and they seem to almost be like,
Well, I doubt if many of them have many customers if it takes forever to fika. So no, you're not going to be like telecom and whatnot.
no, exactly, and I think it almost like it jolts them into action, like especially with the deposit bonuses, calling them and saying like, okay, I deposited 5,000 rand, nothing's reflecting, like what's going on, and they're like, okay, cool, refresh in the next 15 minutes, like your 5,000 rand will be there, you know.
Okay. Which is a huge lot of money. I mean, that in itself creates anxiety, because all you want from a bookmaker is besides an array of odds and good options,
this element of trust.
Is the fact is the element of trust.
Yeah.
You know, will they pay me when I win? Because all gamblers think it's easy to win. That's the hook and that's the trap.
Yeah.
You know, that's why poker took off so well, because every man and his dog thought he could play poker. You know, some people would have more tells than like twitching away, and they'd still think they're a bloody good poker player. So I digress. That's the wrong conversation. But that's a huge thing to have that level of trust.
Yeah.
So, who is the best of registering? Where was the easiest to register an account?
I'd say Betway. Betway was really good.
Yeah.
Really simple. I would say they were all pretty on par. The only one I struggled with was Sporting Bet, because they had that thing of you couldn't upload both sides of your document in one go. So I had to email them.
Sporting Bet sorted out.
But
ridiculous.
Sporting Bet, I've got to give them ups on their app and just their interface.
So we'll back down.
Yeah, there should be a piece on them coming out this week.
Yeah.
Just sort of.
So will you write a piece and do a video on explaining people exactly where we can do a frequently asked question?
Yeah.
On how to do stuff, and we're going to put Ollie's name up now on Ollie's email address. So look, I get a lot of questions from people about how do I do this and which site do I use and whatnot. I don't get paid anything for recommending sites or anything like that yet, and I have my sites that I use, a few, but I want Ollie to do all that stuff. So any questions you have about gambling, on explaining handicaps, anything, not that he knows, he'll have to come to me and I'll give him the answers now, but eventually he will know. So Ollie, what's your email address?
It's just keohane.oliver@gmail.com.
Keohane.Oliver. Wow, you're important there.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so how are you doing in betting?
Not bad. I've broken even pretty much at the moment. Yeah, I've pretty much broken even.
So you're what we call an NGO,
exactly.
NPO, non-profit organization.
No profits. Just yet. I mean, things were looking good. I think the one that I was quite bummed about was this past weekend, South Africa All Blacks. I put 200 rand on both sides to draw. The odds were 26-1, and I put So I mean, it would have made just over like 4,300 rand return. And all things considered, it very easily could have been a draw. I think they were 2013, and Philly LaRue threw that pass to Cheslin Colby that didn't go to hand. He would have been away for a try. And the All Blacks went up.
You know, my dad used to say to me, if my aunt had balls, she'd be mine.
Fair enough.
Could well have been a draw.
Yeah, it was a frustrating one to watch though, because there were a few, like points-wise, I mean, then the All Blacks went up 23-13, Andre Pollard hit the post. So if that try and that, I mean, you can never say, because the game could have gone differently, but it was one of those things where it was sort of in the realm of being a draw, and I thought it was a decent call. And I also thought if I were to lose my bet that the Boks were going to win, and I wouldn't be too bummed out. But none of that happened, so that would have
it's pretty ballsy going with a 26-1 draw in one of your first bets. You know, that's throwing up the Hail Mary, as I like to say.
Yeah. I made up 150 rand on Leicester Tottenham though.
Who'd you pick there? A draw?
No, I think Leicester
win.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember that. Yeah. So, are you having fun?
I am. I'm having a lot of fun. I've actually, the one thing that's been really cool is I've never, I think mentioned it in the first video, but I've never been huge into soccer. And there's obviously a huge there's the big culture around it, especially with guys my age. I still think it kind of relates back to FIFA and everything, but I mentioned that.
Yeah, and Pro Evo even.
Yeah, just every like sort of like gaming interface. There's just a whole culture that sort of transcends the sport itself. So people have their teams, even if they're not really watching it all the time. You know, there's like general like transfer chat and everything. So I've actually downloaded the Premier League app, the Bundesliga app, and I've started getting into soccer a little bit more just the past 3 weeks, which has actually been really cool. Starting to like inform myself and getting involved with my mates in that element, which has been nice because I've always been very sort of rugby orientated. So it's nice to just broaden the horizons a bit.
Yeah, and has it changed your perspective on gambling at all?
Definitely, I think.
Does it change your perspective and thought process on sporting and watching sporting?
For sure. Like I was speaking to my dad about it yesterday, and we were talking about how commentators will say like, "Oh,
evil Mark Keohane."
The infamous. He's on his way.
I thought I felt a shift in the force.
But we were saying that how like commentators will say, "Oh, it's a consolation try. You know, it's a consolation goal. It doesn't mean anything." But when you've put like, I put Arsenal this past weekend, I think Nottingham Forest, Arsenal to win, both teams to score, because statistically speaking, Arsenal they should have conceded at least one. They ended up beating them 5-0. So the bet didn't come off, you know, but it wasn't, I didn't think it was a particularly risky bet. It seemed like a pretty good option. So it's just not really like if Nottingham had scored the one, it may have seemed like a consolation, but obviously the bet would have paid off for me. Same with Everton, Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, so there's no bet that doesn't have significance.
Yeah, I think that's...
Or you know, there's no outcome that isn't important to a bet.
For sure. I mean, if you see like Sporting Bet, I think does a very cool. I haven't actually explored the other ones too much yet because
the cash-in bet is it
just building your own bet and how much you can actually do within a game. You know, it's like this person to score, but then these many goals to get scored after the second half, and then like this person to come off. You know, and this like this kind of. And it's just like you can actually build up like this sort of multi-bet that's not really a multi-bet. You know.
Yeah, I see.
So you're staking like, say, 425 rands on different outcomes. You can, if one loses, you can still make, like I still cashed out $35 on the one thing, even though the actual result was wrong, you know? So it shows you how many like intricacies there are to the actual sport. Because I always, like, my thing with soccer was always looking at it and thinking like, this is a game sort of built purely on anticipation, you know? Like the whole 90 minutes is like, one goal means a lot. And are they going to score or are they not going to score? Whereas rugby is always like there's a lot happening during the game aside from the result. Now you realize like if you're betting on it, that anticipation actually plays quite a huge role.
Okay, yeah, it does bring a bit more excitement to sport. I mean, netball has never been so exciting as it was. This past World Cup netball thing.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, at the end of the day, like what is also has been cool is it doesn't actually matter the sort of like stage that you're betting on, whether you're betting on the Rugby World Cup final or you're betting on like third division soccer. It's only the odds that are going to do anything to your cash. It's not the nature of the game or the nature of the tournament, which is it's a cool concept, you know. It's like you could put some sort of like 50 rand down into some second, third division thing and end up like making a lot of money on it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's a Super Bowl or a third division or League Two.
Yeah,
Accrington versus Scunthorpe United. I don't know if those teams play anymore, but I mean it's got the same. The only thing is, in different markets there'll be more volatility, more equity. Oh God, sorry, more money in the market, so it'll make it more liquid.
Yeah. Right. Just speaking of, like you said, Super Bowl, I actually want to. I mean, I've gone sort of rugby and soccer predominantly at the moment. Keen to get a bit more into the cricket, but in terms of an American sport, if you could recommend one that I start trying to just educate myself on and start just feeling around with.
Look, this is a fun thing as well. So you don't want to just, you don't want to be, you want to take, if I tell you curling is the way to go, no one wants to watch curling. I mean, Canadian curling for 3 hours and making a bet on it. So you want to at least try and marry it with a sport that you like. Yeah. I love basketball, baseball, ice hockey, and American football. And there's nothing better than a Sunday afternoon of watching a few American football games. Yeah. And because there's so much analysis on it, that you can do homework. I mean, you'd never write it, go and do your K53 without studying for it. Yeah. So what amazes me is everybody that thinks they're good at gambling and then they fall into all the traps. You know, there's certain golden rules of gambling. You know, read.
Yeah.
And if you look at the CEOs, top CEOs in the world, they read. You know, they read 52 books a year.
Yeah.
And I take that approach to sports betting, is I read all the time. You know, and it doesn't start. The research doesn't start an hour before the bet. The research starts on an NFL game or a Springbok game for this Friday against Namibia. It started on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's my light reading.
And you also said you've got to be able to interpret what you're reading though. So like when I spoke to you the other day just about the soccer and like I looked at the sort of statistics leading up and everything.
Is that the one where I bet Liverpool to win?
Yeah, Liverpool to win.
No.
I put them to draw and then, you know, lost.
You know,
But and you just said like you don't look past anything with 2 years because
well, it's
such a
regarding
such a quick
history.
change. Yeah, regarding history. Just
Yeah.
because it's such a quick, like soccer specifically, managers are changing, there's transfers, you know, like it's a lot more unpredictability.
Yeah.
And stats won't necessarily paint that same picture. So you've actually, I think that's the other important thing, it seems, is being able to interpret what you're reading, not just reading it and blindly following it.
Well, you know, I agree with that. That's absolutely right. And you know, the most important thing for anything is this isn't a get rich quick thing.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of understanding to come to terms with making the bet. Now, I didn't think that I was going to win. And an example of this is that for 30 years I've been looking at markets and sporting markets and playing sports, and that's been a passion of mine for my life. So it looked pretty clever when I won that 22 to bet on Uruguay yesterday.
Yeah.
But the reality is I didn't think I was going to win the bet. And let me explain the difference. I thought the bet should have been 6 to 1. I thought 8 to 1. That's where I pegged the market through my experience and understanding and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I went on and saw that they were 22 to 1, I was like, wow, these guys are giving almost 200% more return for a same bet. Now I made the bet thinking I was going to lose it because at 1 to 8, divide 8 into 10, you probably about 12%. They were saying there was I thought it was a 12% chance that Uruguay were going to win.
Yeah.
They were saying, in essence, that it was about a 4.3% chance. So anytime I can get 200% difference in a market, even if I don't think it's going to win.
Based on your own sort of...
Based on my own sort of analysis, I'm always going to make that bet.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a crazy bet and put down, you know, I've got limit. They limit me anyway. But
Yeah. What was your return again? Because you put it on both funds. Yeah.
Yeah, I put down 250 split across to both funds, and that returned just about 6,000 rand.
Sure.
No, it was good because it worked and it was the right bet to make. But I didn't think it was going to win. And when you start understanding and taking emotion out of sport and not getting upset, you know, I've seen guys throwing betting slips away, and you know, I don't get that emotionally involved in it. It's a transaction.
You can't. I mean,
well, you can if you bet on your own team.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that was the thing with the Bach one, was I was like, even if I lose this bet, they'll still win. And they didn't win, and I was just like, well, I've lost $200 and the box have lost now.
You know, there'll be times in your evolution that you'll make sense, and you'll understand when you're maturing as a bettor, because one of the biggest maturations of any bettor is to never look at a game that involves his team.
Yeah.
Or be willing to bet against his team. And I've bet against Wales, I've bet against South Africa, I've bet against the Blue Jays, I've bet against the Maple Leafs. My worst bet in university ever was losing $5,000, and I'm going back a few years. $5,000 now, I don't know what that'd be worth. And I bet against my beloved Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
It was still, you know, I think it was the right bet to make, but man, I was on chips and beans for a few weeks.
And they pulled it off, the Blue Jays?
No, they got hammered.
Wait, so you bet on them?
I bet against them. I bet against the other team. The other team won. I bet against, I can't remember what. Anyway, I bet against the Blue Jays, and they won. Yeah, that's right. I was sick. There was no consolation.
No consolation in the win.
Yeah, because the Blue Jays weren't.
Well, was that the mentality? Even if I lose the 5,000, at least the Blue Jays have won.
No, there was no. The Blue Jays couldn't console me. I was inconsolable. But you know, again, life's lessons. You know,
Yeah.
I don't make those mistakes again. But we've got Ollie's name. You're gonna any questions that you have, please get them to him. I speak to Ollie all the time, and we can get the answers to you. And even I do some shout outs in our weekly show. And hoping everybody out there is doing well in the World Cup. Ollie, who are you backing for this World Cup?
Has to be the Springboks.
Attaboy.
Springbok England final.
Yeah. Well, I think England will win, but I don't want them to. But
I think they're going to win the cup.
yeah, and I may do a reverse psychology bet when they get there, and bet for them,
Yeah.
hoping that they'll lose.
But who do you think is going to be the other side in the final?
South Africa.
So,
No.
on the same wavelength there.
No, you're saying New Zealand. Oh yeah, did you say
South
that?
Africa, England.
Yeah, we were exactly the same wavelength.
Mm.
I just drove back from Arabella, so yeah. No, it's good. Anyway, that's great. Ollie, do you still have any money left in the account? In those accounts?
Yeah, no, I've like I said, I've broken even. There's the exact same amount that my initial deposits
It's like kissing your sister.
reflected. I haven't done that, but
No, I'm just saying it's sort of like the same. That's great that you haven't. But the point, I don't know, is that a term? Is that a term that's not relevant anymore?
you just blindsided me there.
No, sorry. Well, in my day, we would call a draw or something like it's like kissing your sister. There's worse things in life, I suppose. But anyway, I've got to figure it out. I got to remember I'm speaking to a millennial. Anyway, so we got a good show coming up next week.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
going to make some more bets. We're going to get you set up and get you tracking your performance.
Yeah.
And look, you may not need any help. You may be a natural.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I don't think so. But you never know.
Yeah.
So this thing is for you the next month. For a month, I'm not going to give you any advice. I've told you not to ask me for advice, not to read. Don't even read my columns. But I think you're reading them.
Yeah, no, got to
You're only
support the
human.
cause.
Yeah. Anyway, Ollie, thanks, and people look out for this weekly show. If you have any questions at all, any of them, send them to Ollie, and I'll let Ollie go through my inbox, and you can pull out the questions that people are asking me, and we can start to educate a reasonably uneducated market in this.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Cool. Thanks, Kev.